We'll be going to the three cities, Marsa Shlock, and we will finish by going to Hajar-In. This is the only day that I don't follow according to what's written in your program, because we need more time for the three cities, and so we do it in the morning. After the wonderful walk in the three cities, you're going to have time to have a spot of a snack, and also you're going to have the opportunity, if you wish to do so, of having a harbour cruise in the gondolas, in the daisas of Malta. I will show them to you from the upper Baraka Gardens today. You know, today you're going to overlook the Grand Harbour from the Baraka, which is an exceptional panorama, and seen from the sea, the fortifications of Malta are awesome. The harbour area is protected by 27 kilometers of fortifications built by the Knights of St. John in the space of less than 150 years. Okay, so in fact people arriving in Malta on a cruise liner, they're simply awed coming into the harbour with so many fortresses and so many bastions and fortifications. So that's it. Now our country is very small. It's a group of islands, it's an archipelago, but if you want to look at a world map and try to find Malta, even with a very powerful lens, you can hardly see it. It's so small. But in spite of being so small, all through the ages, in fact, since men started to navigate the Mediterranean Sea, described as the cradle of civilization, we have been important to seafaring peoples. In fact, we have always been coveted by the naval powers of the Mediterranean, lately the British Empire. And we became more and more important after the opening of the Suez Canal. All shipping going to the Far East stopped at Malta. And we are so important because of two factors. First, it was our privileged geographical position right in the center of the Mediterranean, where in fact halfway between Gibraltar to the west, Egypt to the east, Europe to the north, and Africa to the south. We are the crossroads of the Mediterranean. And the second reason was our harbours. We've got a number of natural, deep water and sheltered harbours. These two factors have made us very, very important. Now we are going to go to Valletta. It's going to be a walking tour in Valletta. This is the most tiring day of all our tours, because buses do not go in Valletta. Most of Valletta, the main streets of Valletta, are pedestrian areas, so it's all on foot. Once we are dropped off, please take all your belongings with you, because most probably our coach will be used during the day to do other trips, but then Charlie will be coming for us at the Malta Experience, which is the Malta Experience is a three-dimensional film that gives you in a nutshell the history of it's very interesting, the history of our island from time immemorial up to the very day. Okay, so we will start from one end of Valletta and finish at the other end. Now we are going to join the main road. On the left is what is known as Kennedy Grove. It's so called because the Maltese American community in the United States paid for the building of a monument which is amidst the trees here. It was a long time ago, dedicated to the assassinated John F. Kennedy. And it's a lovely place for picnics and for walks. It's one of the nicest parks we have on the island. Once we're driving on, and you please look to the left to see the salt pans. This is why this bay is called Salina Bay. Salini means salt pans. They were built by the Knights of St. John, but the production of sea salt in arid countries such as Malta has been goes back to to Roman times. In fact, salt was so precious that Roman soldiers were partially paid by a bag of salt. Look to the left, please. They were partially paid by a bag of salt, hence the word salary. Okay, this is why it's called salary. So the production of salt has always been important for the preservation of foodstuffs. This was before the advent of refrigeration. Nowadays, this area is managed by BirdLife Malta. The huts that you see here are a replica of the original ones, which were quite derelict a few years ago. They were rebuilt and now they're museums. And there is also a lookout terrace to see when the migratory birds stop here, either on their way to Africa or to Europe. People come here to watch them. When I was a child, they used to use them to gather salt. Now they don't anymore. In fact, for a long time they were silted up, especially there was a flash flood and which silted up most of the salt pans. So a few years ago they were dredged, cleaned up, and parts of them rebuilt, and now they are, as I said, in the hands of BirdLife Malta. We are now going to follow what is known as the coast road. Both Malta and Gozo have a southeastern coast made of cliffs. So the southeastern coast of Malta and Gozo are composed of wonderful cliffs, some of which rise sheer out of the water. But in general, the islands slope gently towards the northeast. That is the northeast, the Grigal. If one had to fly straight ahead, one would eventually arrive in Greece. Grigal, the northeast. So this side of Malta is low but deeply indented, and so this is where we have the bays, namely Salina Bay, St. Paul's Bay and Melleha Bay. We'll be going through Melleha Bay tomorrow on the way to Gozo. We have the rocky creeks and the harbours, namely Marsamxat Harbour, the Grand Harbour and Marsashlok Harbour, where we will be going on Saturday. Okay? So, and on Saturday we'll be also going to the cliffs. We will be stopping on a lookout to see the cliffs, and Hajar-im, the Neolithic, the prehistoric temple, is also on the cliffs. We have just passed by a watchtower, and in a few seconds you're going to see another one. There, a watchtower, and there is another one further up. The Knights of St. John built 13 watchtowers. They were all similar. They were built all around the coast, manned by a garrison of 9 soldiers, and when an invasion was imminent, and this was very often, Malta was often harassed by pirates from North Africa and by the Turks. They would make a quick incursion, raise villages to the ground, and take people into slavery. So these towers played an important role. So when an invasion was imminent, they sent a smoke signal from one tower to the other, there's another one further up, until the message reached Valletta to warn the knights of the coming menace. Nowadays, this wouldn't have been possible because towns were built between one tower and another, but today we don't need smoke signals, do we? Well, anyway, so those are the towers. Now, the total surface area of Malta, which is the largest island, is no more than 316 square kilometers. Gozo is but 1/3 the area of Malta, and then there is Comino, which is in the middle of the channel between Malta and Gozo. You will be seeing Comino tomorrow. These 3 islands are inhabited. Then there are a number of islands, small islands around Malta, and also between Malta and Gozo. Now, the population of Malta amounts to 500,000. If you had come here 20 years ago, I would have said 400,000. But with the influx of so many foreigners on the island, they come here to work, they come here, some of them come here from North Africa without papers. Others come from all over Europe. Now we've got many from India, from Bangladesh and Pakistan. They are mostly working as drivers. We had hundreds of them, thousands of them, sorry, I made a mistake. We have people coming from ex-Yugoslavia, Bulgaria, Serbia, Serbia is part of Yugoslavia, Bulgaria, Romania. They mostly work in the building industry. We have like 40,000 Italian people who come here to work. It's very easy to come to Malta from southern Italy. There is a service twice a day by a hydrofoil, which makes it in an hour and a half from Pozzallo, from southern Sicily. So they come to work in Malta. Many of them live here nowadays. So the population has exploded, and it has exploded not because the birth rate has gone up. In fact, unfortunately, the birth rate in Malta is the lowest in Europe, okay, with 1.02 per couple. So it's because of the influx of foreigners.